I'm Scarlett Farr, and welcome back to another episode of Sequestered Chef. So we've been doing these wellness center videos during quarantine. We've talked about all kinds of things from how to cook chicken 50 ways to herbs and spices, how to grow a garden. We even had a celebrity chef one night. So today I thought we would do a little math in the kitchen because everybody loves math, right? And in my real job, I'm a CPA, so we kind of had to do some math at some point. So today, the math that we're going to do is calculate how many calories you need to get through the day and to start working towards whatever your weight goals are, whether they're weight loss goals or weight gain goals. We're going to talk about how to figure all that out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate our RMR, which is a resting metabolic rate. And so the way that we do that, there's two ways to do that. I can give you a big old formula that looks like we're about to take the SAT exam and you turn this video off and won't watch it anymore, or I can point you to a website. So let's do that one. If you Google, either on your phone or on a desktop, the words Omni Calculator RMR, you'll see some things, and it's usually one of the first things that'll come up. So you'll click in that and you're going to see a little chart. It's only got like 4 little things you have to fill in. And that is your gender, your age, your height, and your weight. So you just put those in. The only thing I would caution you on is the height column is a little weird. You can put it in centimeters or feet and inches, but if it's very sensitive. So you might think you're putting in one thing and you're putting in another. So that can be aggravating. Just make sure you get those right before you hit the calculate button. So whatever you're going to calculate, put over here in this box, and we're going to actually work through an example in a minute. So the next thing you got to know is what is your activity level, and there's a numeric value assigned to different levels of activity. So if you do nothing, if you either watch TV all day, or you just sit at a desk job and you're not moving around a lot, you don't go to the gym, you don't go walking after work, you don't do anything, you're going to get a 1.2. So if you have that desk job or whatever during the day, you're not very active, but you do go to the gym a couple of times a week, and maybe it's moderate exercise, then you would use an activity level of 1.375. The next one would be same thing. You're pretty sedentary during the day or during the week, but you do go to the gym maybe 4 or 5 times, and moderate exercise, getting on towards the vigorous. Maybe a couple of times it would be more strenuous type of exercise. So the fourth category is 1.725. That would be, you're probably pretty athletic. If that's the number that you're going to choose, you probably would know that either your job is not sedentary and or you're pretty athletic. And 1.9, everything that I've ever read or been to a class, and they said basically that's heavy manual labor. You're on your feet all the time. You're lifting, you're picking up. It's very strenuous work, and maybe you're going to the gym a lot. So a 1.9 is not going to be a number that most people pick. All right, so you're going to take your RMR that we got from the internet, and you're going to pick your activity level. Then you're going to multiply them together and get your daily calorie needs. So that is what it takes for you to live, breathe, eat, walk, go to work, go to the gym, whatever. And it's just an estimate. This is not exact science, but it's close enough. So we're gonna calculate that number, and that's our base for everything else we're gonna calculate. Okay, so moving on, now we have to make a few more decisions before we can start working our example. Do you want to change your activity level, or do you think you cannot change your activity level while you're working on this goal? So you might already know that to lose a pound, you have to burn or reduce your intake by 3,500 calories a week. That's 500 calories a day. So that one way to calculate that is you can say, you know what, I'm really not doing that much exercise, and I probably could fit some more exercise in my day. And I think I can do something every day that burns about 250 calories. So that means I only have to reduce the amount of food that I'm eating by 250 calories. Or you can say, nah, I'm good. I cannot do anything else in my day. I don't have another minute to do 1 minute of exercise. So I'm just going to cut my calories by the full 500. And of course you can pick other numbers in there, but that's just the example. So we are going to decide, this is how much it takes to eat, live, breathe, walk, go to work, go to the gym, plus or minus this to get to the goal. And you can also add the 5, if your goal is to gain weight, you can add the 500 a day. So this works either way, it just depends on what your goal is. All right, so let's put some numbers in our example so you can see how this works. So we are going to work with a woman that is 50 years old, she's 5.5 feet tall, and she weighs 150. So I decided not to do the crazy math and go to the internet. And the internet told me that she needs 1,515 calories to live, breathe, eat, all that stuff. Okay, and then her activity level, she has fairly sedentary, but she goes to the gym a couple times a week, gives it a good shot, you know, really hard one day of the week. So maybe she does the elliptical for 30 or 45 minutes one day a week. She gets a 1.375. So when you take the 1,515 times the 1.375, her daily caloric needs are 2,083. And so then when we get to the question, what are you going to change in your life? Do you want to exercise a little more? She says, heck no, I cannot do it. I'm up to here with responsibilities. I cannot do another minute. So I am just going to eat 500 calories less a day. So that's what she decides. So we subtracted 500 from the 2,083, and then just to make our life easier, we rounded it, and it's 1,580 calories a day that she needs to make her goal. And we're going to flip the chart around in a minute, and we're going to see how to actually make that. Now we're to the really hard math, and it's not hard math, it's just a lot of math, and it gets a little crazy for just a minute, and you have to look at it for a little while. So that's a good thing that it's on the video. You can go back and watch it several times. You can also email me at fitterbyfarr@gmail.com, and I can send you a worksheet to calculate this. And when we get to the end of the video, we'll talk about if you even want more information. I'll tell you how to do that as well. So a couple things you need to know first. This is going to be important by the time we get to the end of the chart. For every gram of carbs that you eat or that exists, it equals 4 calories. For every gram of fat, that is 9 calories. And for every gram of protein, it's also 4. So carbs and protein have the same amount of calorie value. Fat is over twice that. So that's why fat can get out of hand, and then you're gaining weight, and you thought, oh, but I was eating healthy fats. Well, it's still fat, so you probably need to cut back on it a little bit, or if you're going to eat the healthy fats, cut back on some other kind of fat. So the other thing that you need to know before we get going too far is your macro options. So I didn't say it, but your macros are these: your carbs, your fat, and your protein. So what you have to decide next is, it is recommended that you eat between 45 to 65% of your daily calories in carbohydrates. But so you have a range there, so you can work with that. For fat, you shouldn't eat more than 30% of your diet, of your calories every day. And for protein, anywhere from 10 to 30. So you have to think about what are your goals. If you're doing a lot of cardio, you're going to want more carbs, because that's what's going to fuel your workouts. So you don't want to eat the lowest end of the carbs if you're working out a lot. Fat, it just kind of, if you want to go a little bit lower fat, they don't recommend you going really below 20% anyway, but you go a little bit lower than 30. And protein, 10 to 30%. So maybe you're really trying to do strength training and build some muscle. You might want to be on the higher end of that percentage scale. So you're going to calculate those. You're going to figure out where you want to fall in there, and then we're just going to fill out this part right here. So our example person decided that she wanted to do 55% of her daily calories in carbohydrates, and she wanted to do 25% in fat, and so that leaves 20% for protein. And the reason I say that it leaves 20%, it has to add up to 100, and unless I did my math wrong, that's 100. So now that we know that, we remember from the other side of this whiteboard, her daily calories we're going to be 1,580. Okay, so now we're going to calculate, it's just math now. We're going to calculate these percentages by this number of calories. And again, this is going to have to come back to that number or you did something wrong. So we already know that when we're done, our daily calories have to add up to that. So if you take 55% of 1,580, she's going to need to eat 869 calories in carbohydrates every day. So for fat, she's going to have to eat 395 calories of fats. And for proteins, she's going to need to eat 316. And if you do the math there, that should come back to 1,580. And if it didn't, obviously I'm a terrible Okay, so it's fine to have these numbers calculated by amount of calories. But if you're really going to get serious about counting macros, you're going to need to break it down a little bit more because this is just hard to calculate. And everything on food labels, which I'm going to bring out my handy dandy food label, is in grams. So if you look, whatever this item was, it's got 230 calories. But the food label tells you that it's got 8 grams of fat, it's got 37 grams of carbs, and it's got 3 grams of protein. So we're going to convert the numbers that we already have made into grams so that when we talk about actually counting your macros, you're working on from the same page with what every can and box and package has on it. It would be impossible, almost impossible for you to calculate it by calories. So remember this little cheat sheet I put up here? So we're going to take the 869 calories for carbs, and then we said each gram of carbs is 4 calories. So we're going to divide that by 4 so that we can figure out how many grams it is. And since I don't do math in my head, I have to look at my cheat sheet. That is 217. All right, for fat, we said it was going to be 395 calories, but we would rather know how much that is in grams so that we're speaking the same language as food labels. So again, up here, remember that's the one that's more than twice the other two. It's 9. So we're going to divide it by 9, and that comes out to 45 grams of fat every day. All right, the last one is protein. That's 316 calories. And divided by 4, which we got from up here, and that is 80. All right. Those do not have to add up to any particular number. In fact, you could even round those if you're trying to remember these. You could round that up to 220 or down to 215. Those couple of grams won't make a difference when you're figuring this out. Okay, so that is the basics of how you figure out what you're supposed to be eating every day for the calories, for if you're going to change your activity level or not. Converting those, we converted the calories or the daily calories down into our macros and how many calories of each macro, and then we broke it further down into how many grams. So now what are you going to do with that? So there are apps. You don't have to have apps. You can use a piece of paper. You can use a spreadsheet. You can use whatever. Or you can go, there's some free apps on your phone. MyFitnessPal is free for the most part. You can't do a lot of things. Well, you can do a lot of things. There's a few things that you would have to pay for it. There's one that I used to use MyFitnessPal, and now I use one called Macros Inc. I think I paid $2.99 one time for the app. And it's not as user-friendly, but once you get the hang of it, it's a better, to me it was easier. There's all kinds of programs out there, and I don't know how to use all of them, so that's why I'm not having a MyFitnessPal lesson. But what I can tell you is that anybody in the world, dumb, smart, whatever, can put food entries into that. They might know this stuff very well. They might not know it at all. They might just be drunk texting. I don't know. But they put some crazy stuff in there. So I would not ever use what's in there. I would create my own entries. So for an example, you can go in there and look for baked chicken breast. and you can look for 4 ounces of baked chicken breast. And there could be 6 entries in there. And 5 of them are going to say something, I'm just going to make up numbers because I can't remember right now how much it is. So it could say that there are, in the 4 ounces of chicken, maybe there's 60 grams of protein. 5 of them will say that, and the 6th one will say 212. Well, that person didn't know what they were doing. The other ones, because so many of them were similar, probably did know what they were doing or were pretty close. So if you aren't going to calculate your own macros and figure it out, then at least look for the ones that seem logical. And a lot you can you will need something like this. This is a food calculator. I got this at Walmart for $14. You can get them on Amazon. It measures in ounces, it measures in grams, and it measures in milliliters. I think it measures in other stuff too, but I think it even measures pounds. I think this thing goes up to like 15 pounds. There also, I would tell you, most of those apps have scanners on them. So what you do is you find the little barcode on your whatever you're eating, and you just take a picture of it. It's very easy to do. You take a picture of it, and it automatically puts the information in there. So. And with the macros, I don't know if you can on MyFitnessPal, but with the Macros Inc. one, if it's something that I create myself, it asks you for the brand name, and I put my name in there because my name's kind of odd, so it's not like everybody's going to put that name in there. So then when I'm looking for it later, I can find it and know that I'm pretty sure that one's right because I'm the brand of it. So that's kind of my little key on how I do that to make sure I get the one I want. And you can measure things if you're going to start. If you could do this and measure, you can say, okay, I know this says, the food label says whatever, this amount, a cup of something is 500 calories or whatever. Well, these are both, I have 2 measuring cups. This one holds a lot more than this one does. So that's why people break things down into grams, because it's such a tiny little measurement. I mean, nobody really knows how much of a gram is, really. So it's a very tiny measurement. So it's much more precise than saying 4 ounces or your yellow measuring cup versus your white measuring cup, because I didn't even realize until I was getting ready to do this video, and I said, let me just check and see. And it was a huge difference. So you can start out that way using cups and tablespoons and stuff if you want, but if you're really serious and you're stalling and you're getting frustrated because you're not moving towards your goal, which is either losing or gaining, it's probably because you're not measuring right, which is why counting macros, at least knowing how to count macros, is so important. What I would tell you to do, if this is something you're interested in, is just go in and play with the food trackers for a few days. Don't try to do this yet. Just put it in and see how much you actually are eating. Because if you don't know where you are, you don't really know where you need to track. So I always suggest that, but people get gung-ho and they don't want to do that. They just want to jump right into this. So I will tell you, there's a lot more you could learn about macros and how to use the apps, and if you're making a recipe, how to figure out all your macros and calculate those. That gets a little more complicated than I can do in a video. At least not this video is getting long enough as it is. So I might try another showing somebody how to do a recipe, and maybe we can make a video about that another time. But if you have any questions, again, my email is fitterbyfarr@gmail.com. I have the Facebook page is the same. You can send me a message that way. Of course, you find this video on the Wellness Center page, and also I have the YouTube channel. So please go subscribe to that, because once quarantine is over and the Sequestered Chef videos end, I'll keep making videos. That way you'll know when I got a new one out there. And then I also have a Pinterest page that has some recipes that I found that are pretty diet friendly. I mean, I have everything from vegetables to and vegetarian stuff to chicken, beef, a little bit of everything. Breakfast, I even have different kind of fruit flavored drinks. I mean, there's everything there. So you should be able to get a good start on this if this is how you're going to do it. I will tell you that you can go on Facebook and find some pages that people, that do macros. They have made Facebook pages. I will tell you though that there's one that believes, at least one that believes in, it's called IIFYM. And that means if it fits your macros, you can eat it. So I don't suggest that, because when you see some of the stuff they're eating, you're horrified. And actually you can buy into the fact that, oh, well, I can eat that crazy ice cream sundae if it fits in my macros. Well, yeah, you can, but you're not doing your body any good. You want to eat healthy stuff, because remember, I pull this out all the time. Here's the page. While you're counting your macros, you should worry about making your plate look like this. Honestly, if you focus mostly on making your plate look like this, you wouldn't have to do this quite so much. So if you have questions, you can send me a message and I will try my best to answer them. Or if you have a suggestion on how to take this particular video to another level to teach you a little bit more in depth, I can do that as well. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the kitchen math, and I will see what I can come up with again for next week. Thank you. Bye.